What is up, YouTube fam? Robbie C here. Today we're talking about how this internet challenge connects with my beginners, and we're going to highlight how the new distance driver coming out from Dynamic Discs might help us solve exactly what we're looking for. So how are all these discs going to improve your game? Boy howdy, are you in for a good time. But before we dive in, we have to ask, how you doing today, Bobby? Are you having a good one?
So catch me if I fall.
All right, so let's go ahead and address the new guy in the room. This disc's release is today, the day this video drops on May 29th. It's a Thursday, vibes are high, and we're holding on. This is the new Dynamic Discs Heist. I believe flight numbers are 12, 5, minus 1.5, 2. I'll put the correct numbers on the screen just in case I'm remembering this wrong. But this is a brand new distance driver coming out of DD, and I am super excited to throw it. We're gonna test it today on backhand. We're gonna test it today on forehand. We're gonna hope that the backhand, you know, it's firing, it's doing its things. But if not, we're gonna show you that this is what it feels like if you don't have like fantastic distance. This is how it flies for you. The silver linings of not being a consistent backhand thrower. Now this is not the hole that we would throw a 12 speed on, because we're playing to the B pin position, which is only 224 feet away. We're still trying to nab an ace with Precious Child, so first throw of the day. And we turned it over. Felt really good out of the hand, just a little far. Awesome. We got some inner quarters here, and that's where the internet challenge is going to come into play. Okay, that's nice, really straight. It's actually aiming at the basket. That's quite far. Last chance, Baja. And then if it had stability, actually, all those felt really good. Let's throw 2 forehands and then we're all warmed up. Range. Nice. And zone GT, that's too high. That's gonna fade all the way down the hill. Awesome. Now they're warmed up. Let's talk about this internet distance challenge and a shocking realization that I had before we get to hole 2 to throw this new disc. So every year I gather my Patreon community, the Birdie Fam, inside of Birmingham for an event called Birdie Fam Takes Over Birmingham. And we do some fun competitions, some mixed doubles, and then we have a big tournament on Saturday for singles, which is like a great introduction for people into competitive play. But one of the biggest things that we end up doing that I really enjoy is field games. On a Saturday afternoon, we always play field games, and we have 3 categories. We have putting, accuracy, and distance. Now the distance competition, as you can imagine, as a guy who has certain feelings about distance and what it does for your game, each year I end up switching the distance competition around. Year 1, it was a 5-foot wide fairway that extended an infinite distance, and you just had to land it inside the fairway for it to count. Trickier than people thought it would be. Year 2, we wanted people to go a little further without the just random risk, and so we separated that same 5-foot wide fairway, which is essentially the width of like a tee box, was what we were going for. Infinite distance, but we separated it into zones, 50 to 100 feet, 100 to 150, things like that, and you got more points the further up you landed inside those zones, and it was total points. The 3rd year we did the competition, we measured total distance, but I gave them 3 incredibly odd discs, like the Tilt, the Night Owl from Franklin Discs, and I believe a Koi. But last year's distance competition might have been my favorite, because as someone who loves to help people improve, the coaching aspect of things is what really jazzes me up. I wanted to do a distance competition that I thought would be very helpful for kind of honing in people's ideas about their bag and their game. All right, let's see how we're feeling. If we're feeling like MA1, MPO, or MA4 today. Go with a Heist on a backhand. We're gonna try to just hit it hard and flat. So, what do we do there? We spun way too early, collapsed the pocket, and we threw it soft, and it was overstable. We'll keep trying. And we'll keep trying to give you a better sight. But if you're not throwing that hard and that fast, it's gonna be exactly what you would think, an overstable distance driver. So for year 4 of the competition, we had a call your shot opportunity. I gave them 3 discs that they got to choose, and based on where we were at, they were picking 1 putter and 2 mids to sort of throw, because I think that knowing your distances inside of those approach and shorter game spots is essential for sort of being able to score effectively. Now, what you had to do was you had to say that I was going to pick up these 3 discs and I was going to throw them X amount of feet. You're trying to nail it down to the spot. So you could say, hey, I'm going to take these 3 discs and I'm going to throw the putter 200 feet. I'm going to throw the mid 230 and I'm going to throw this other mid 245. Now, I did sort of judge them one at a time and saying like, hey, here is the first throw, here is the second throw, here is the third throw, so they could adjust and know how far they were throwing on each of them as they went. I believe my point system was, if you were on the money, it was 10 points. If you were within 20 feet either way, if you were within 5 feet either way, it was 5 points. And if you were within 20 feet either way, it was a point. Now, what was most exciting about this competition to me was that it allowed people who were really dialed in on their bags to shine, but it also allowed you to gamify things just a little bit. I wasn't asking you to throw max distances, I was just asking you to throw accurate distances. So this brings in the world of, oh, well, I know I can push my hex to 280 feet. So I'm just gonna throw it a nice smooth, like 230. Now the other wrinkle is that I brought 3 discs of my own that were a little funky in themselves, but all of them sort of like hard discs. I wasn't handing them a koi, I wasn't handing them a tilt that doesn't necessarily want to fly or doesn't want to fly that far standard. And I said, if you were willing to use my discs, then you got 5 points right off the rip. Because then it just becomes, what does a 200+ foot throw feel like, or what does a 150 foot throw feel like? I know one of our people that ended up almost making it into the finals of the competition did 3 60-foot jump putts. Fascinating. Once again, you can gamify this entire process. Now, there's a lot of backstory, so where does this apply to you as a player? Because as I watched this go down, the most points achieved by anyone in the competition was 11. And no, it was not because they guessed it like spot on. We had 2 people making it in the finals using my discs. One of them was the jump putt approach, and the other was actually throwing the disc out there. And then the third threw his own discs and nailed and got 2 within the 5-foot marker and 1 within the 20-foot marker. Now, this is impressive. And it may not have even been 5, it may have been 10 feet. I'm having a hard time remembering. Birdie fan members, you can jump in the comments and help me out here. But it brought up a problem that I see a lot in disc golf, and it's something that I struggle with myself, and it is sometimes an overconfidence, but sometimes it's just a severe lack of, I don't know, like understanding what's happening. I can see where that sounds really harsh. All right. Here, we've got the yellow basket is 326 feet away. We're gonna try the Heist and try to just throw it on a nice smooth forehand down there. I'm gonna try to throw it flat. We're gonna see what ends up happening and see how the Heist looks on a forehand. What wind, a little bit of maybe left to right tail. Okay. So, we sailed past the B basket, which is 362 feet away. We're about 30 feet past that. So smooth. Instantly, I'm thinking, if you are someone who, and this is downhill, so don't think that this was like, oh man, I just mushed that 400-foot shot that easy. No. But I do think that if you don't have like the strongest forehand in the world, but you want to forehand with distance drivers, immediately this should be jumping on your radar. But I want to showcase the example here of what I'm talking about, of the error and why I think knowing your distances matters. This is 326, but it's downhill. And I will see people walk up 2 shots like this and they'll be like, oh, it's 326. Well, yeah, that's a putter for me. So they'll pull a putter out and they'll try to aim at the basket. They'll come through and they full send this putter. Problem is that full send putter landed in the OB, because at about what feels like max range putter for me is OB. So not understanding how far I throw a disc and thinking I throw a disc farther than I did actually just put me in a danger zone. When you're picking a disc to throw, you have to understand the pros and cons, right? Like maybe you fully get a hold of it and you full send that disc. And sure, there have been moments that you've thrown a putter 320 feet, especially like flat ground 320 feet, which should make this downhill shot even easier. But can we always bank on I'm going to perfectly hit the disc every time? Well, the editor here can certainly run back my drive with the new driver that I threw on hole 2. Yeah, we don't get a hold of it every time. Now for some players, let's just call it what it is. It's a pride thing. I feel like I should throw this far, so I'm gonna pick this disc for these distances. But I don't think that was the case with the Birdie fam, because I really, like, there are so many folks who were doing this competition inside my group that it was just like, I just think that it is solely coming from a place of, it may not be as fun to go out and practice, hey, how far do I throw each of my discs? And I think that is one of the biggest things you can do, is go out and practice, hey, I'm just gonna throw all of my discs and I'm gonna pull out UDisc and use the free app and just like walk and see. And when I'm throwing them, hey, did I get a good rip on this? Did I get a bad rip on this? Throw all of them multiple times so that you get those consistent reads on how, if I throw my A5 really well, it goes this amount of distance. If I throw it okay, it goes here. And if I throw it poorly, it goes here. So that when I'm choosing a disc for the hole, I can make some adjustments on, okay, well, I've not been throwing that well today, so maybe I need to disc up from the A5, maybe onto Jimothy or something like that. So instead of trying to be a hero and get a putter all the way there, maybe I just disc up and grab a mid, and I go with maybe even a flippier mid, like the SS Buzzra, and I try to fire it straight down there. But notice, I literally hit a tree and I'm further along than the putter was. Let's try again with our Sacco Big Z Buzz. Bang, okay. Threw a little nose up, threw a little high, but it's down there on the dance floor. And that's all I'm asking for. By choosing the wrong disc, because I thought, oh, well, I throw this far. Well, congratulations, I ended up OB. And now I really don't have the opportunity outside of a miracle to save the par. Now, I do think that there are two methods that you can use to approaching this, which is the first of, like I said, going to a field, going somewhere open and throwing all of your discs multiple times so that you get a read on how well you throw each of them. But another that's probably more fun is, let's look at some holes that have some stock distances to them, and let's just see and throw multiple discs at that hole to see what it feels like in order to throw that distance. This is one of the exercises that I love to do when my approach game feels off. I'll go to a field instead of going to a hole, but I understand that, you know, some people, that's just not as fun for them. And I'll sit there with a bag of my approach discs and my putters, and I will just throw 200-foot shot after 200-foot shot after 200-foot shot. So that hopefully when I turn my brain off and I just think about throwing, my body subconsciously knows, oh, it's 200 feet for this hole, bang, I fire it in. That helps me on par 4s and 5s where I have 200 feet into the green, pitch and putt type courses where I have 200-foot holes that I'm trying to throw, and scramble shots on par 3s where I have royally messed things up, but I have 200 feet into the green. Now, how a disc achieves 200 feet of distance can be different depending on how extreme the differences in the discs are. But here, I've got 7 discs that I'm trying to use, and they're all putters. We have an A5, we have a pig, we have a range, we have an inner core, we have an inner core, we have a zone GT, and we have an inner core. That basket is 217 feet away. Let's see how many stock 200-foot shots we can throw. So there, poor release, and we threw it about 30 feet short. Okay, distance was right, accuracy not there. We'll switch it up and not go 3 inner cores in a row. We'll go with the range. Now the range we want to put a little more on because it's a slower disc, but voila, we pulled it to the right. Tough. Precious Child. Precious Child, we're long. What's curious here is that I'm trying to make some adjustments, like being 100% transparent. I'm trying to adjust as I go through, but I'm not hitting those adjustments very well because I'm not trying to see, can I throw 230 feet or 240 feet? I'm trying to see how often can I throw 217 feet and put this on the money. But my accuracy is all over the place today. Such as that A5 is not close. That's better. Thankfully for a tree, we almost aced. And then here, we got the Zone GT, so we're gonna hang this out a good bit wider. A good bit wider. And we throw it too far, and now it's in the woods. So even someone who focuses on this approach game, just this simple exercise of spending 2-3 extra minutes on a hole and throwing immediately shows me, hey, we need to work on this shot. So I look at my calendar, I look at my clock, and I say, oh, there's no one behind me. What if we just went and we grabbed him and we're ready to go again? This extra 5 minutes of staying on a hole and working could actually pay off, giving me confidence and accuracy later on in the round, or at least give me the reps to keep practicing. Once again, it's an A5, Mr. Dennis. You actually have to throw that wide of the basket because this A5 is overstable. Let's try the range. Bang, the range is under the bucket. Adjustment made. Let's see if we can keep it going. Inner core. Well, it went straight. We'll throw inner cores, interspersed. Precious Child. Much better in terms of accuracy, but still long. So, not necessarily what we're going for. Inner core. Better, but long. Zone GT. Nice and wide. And it's perfect. We had to get the shape a little differently than we've been throwing everything else, but hey, we'll take it. Once again, I like the accuracy, but a little long. Micro adjustments is the name of the game. Practicing is the name of the game. When's the last time that maybe you improved? Maybe you've been doing exercises and you've gotten a little more flexible than you used to be. Well, that's gonna create some extra distance, which is gonna throw off these numbers. On the opposite side of that, what if it's been a really stressful work week while you've been trying to get a product push out for your company, or you've been doing some home renovation, and so you're a little more sore than you have been? Those distances might be a little shorter than you've been expecting. And so if I'm walking in and I'm not feeling amazing and I'm thinking that this mid-range is gonna go 330 feet because that's what I normally throw, I'm stepping up to a 330-foot hole that I need to birdie in order to get a better tag at league, well, I just don't have the juice in the tank today. And because of that, I need to make some adjustments and know where those adjustments can be made. It's one thing to have information. It's another thing to be just hopelessly walking through the dark. One of the things I really love about like traditional golf is that they have markers all the way up the fairways because they want you to be using this information at all times. Oh, I'm only 190 into the green. That's gonna be a blank. So many golfers know this, but we like look at golf and we say, oh, that's interesting, but like, this is Frisbee golf, man. This is disc golf. Why do we have to like meme or shame people for wanting to play better? All right, here we are at the Heist, wide open plane of existence in front of us. So we're gonna see how I'm gonna start judging this is I'm gonna be like, hey, this is a 300 foot max distance thrower. This is a 350 max distance thrower, and this is me throwing well. And I'll kind of sort these into those categories so that you have an idea on how these are flying based on, hey, I actually got a hold of it, I didn't get a hold of it. And I think that's where we're just gonna embrace the positives of me being inconsistent as we're doing things. All right, that's about a 350 foot thrower getting a hold of that. We threw it nose up, but it didn't fade super hard. Nose up, still pushed. I think that -1.5, 2 definitely showcases there, and we threw it on hyzer nose up. So not our best angle to sort of demonstrate it. We'll try to on this next throw. We'll try to throw it flat. All right, throw number 2, we're gonna try to focus on flat. Flat, flat, flat. Here we go. Much better. You can see that it just holds super straight. I would imagine if you are a faster arm speed and you're sitting there like mushing these things, I would imagine it's gonna have some turn for you. But I think that 12 speed is pretty accurate. A lot of times we'll say on some Trilogy drivers that like if it's a 13 speed, it flies more like a 12 speed, things like that. And I'm sure that's based solely off of rim width and things. But this Heist, I mean, just held really straight and then still had reliable finish at the end. So I think that the faster arm speed you have, the better your angle control is, your nose angle control. You're gonna see that 1.5 start to shine, but the 1.5, at least on backhand so far, seems like where it's shining the most is it's just holding it straight for the first 300 feet of its flight. And then I get the variance at the end. If I hit it really well, then that 2 fade, the 1.5 kind of balances it out. Let's see how it does on forehand. So on forehand, on these like more neutral feeling ones, where -1.5, 2, I would think that like it's supposed to be somewhat neutral. I'm always afraid to put some juice into these things because I'm afraid that because I don't get as much spin on a forehand that it's gonna turn over and not have a chance. But I've thrown this thing a couple times because I only have the one of these, so in transparency, I've been throwing it down there and then throwing it back to the camera to get some extra reps in with it. And then throwing the forehand, it has a little more stability than I think I'm giving it credit for. So we're gonna, if this doesn't go well, we're gonna try a couple different ones, but I wanna give it some juice, give it the beans, and see how well it handles. Nose up on it, but you can see there, I tried to even give it some. I think we're gonna be able to flex this thing. Like it had maybe the slightest bit of turn to the left, but it still had some fade at the end. That's phenomenal. Let's see if we can flex it. Okay, let's see if we can't flex this thing. Give it a little juice, give it a little hit. Too much flex. Too much flex. Okay, wind has pivoted a little bit of a headwind now. We're gonna try flex again, just not yamming on it so hard. Okay, so inconclusive results because now the wind is, like I said, coming at us as a headwind, so I feel like I can't necessarily put some flex on it. So maybe it's exactly what the flight numbers are implying, is like it's just really straight, but it's gonna have that fade every time. I thought we were gonna be able to put some oomph on it, but I feel like once we put the oomph into it and we started leaning into it, that 1.5 really shines, which could be very positive if you want sustained turnovers, if you want, yeah, like that easy turn without it possibly burning over, because I mean, we yammed over on those, but they didn't burn over. They just kind of settled and they didn't even cut roll. So that's a win. Now, Jesse from Trash Panda put out a challenge of the 700-foot challenge, which is taking 3 inner cores and throwing them a combined distance of 700 feet or less. If you go over 700, you're out. Which means that each of these in an ideal world is gonna go about 233 feet. The other thing about it is that you're not allowed to know how far each of them went until you've thrown all 3. So to try to lean in and sort of showcase, hey, can we actually dial in our distances and see? I think that this challenge is perfect for this. And we're going to do the Trash Panda Inner Core Challenge, see where we land on things, and then we'll wrap it up. Now, while this hole may look familiar, as we've just spent a little bit of time here, I am stepping away from the tee pad. I'm actually further up. So that way, even if I had some like mental note of like, oh, well, that tree stops at 200 feet or whatever, I progressed far enough up the fairway an undetermined amount. Like, I have no idea. I have like guesstimates, but I'm trying to figure out that distance from here, and we're gonna see if we can throw 233 feet 3 times. Tilt the camera down, that way you guys can see. We're throwing to this. So, throw 1. Let the Trash Panda eat. Old logo. Okay. That feels maybe a little far. That's definitely short. So maybe we just juice this one. To try to make up for Baja being short. Okay, I'm gonna set my bag right here, right behind my mini marker. I've got my rangefinder. Let's go see some discs. Like I said, my anticipation was that my first one was short. I think my first one's gonna be like 186, 187. If that's off, we are in trouble. All right, Baja coming up on it now. And we're just gonna gun the basket or the bag. All right, 177. Okay, so about 10 feet off. Now the problem is, I think I went short on all of them because the one that I tried to juice is only, I mean, it's not that far behind the other one, and this is 211. Which means that this guy, come back here, is 221. So we add those numbers together, 177, 211 plus 221 is 603. 603? Yeah, I think that 177 being short really got us there. So that's a tough effort from old Robbie C. But it just shows you, hey, there are multiple methods that you can use to sort of practice this. I haven't bagged an inner core for some time, but I use them for field work. So I'm used to throwing them, but I'm not often measuring them. And that lets me know, hey, I need to up my practice and sort of measuring and throwing at how far am I throwing these distances. So here's my thoughts on the Heist, releasing today. You can find it over at Dynamics website. And I think what's really fun about this is that the more that I like contemplate the throws, it reminds me of a slower, seasoned raider. This is my Sharingan raider that I know if I really hit perfectly on Anheuser, it's gonna get some turn and some flex. But if I go too much Anheuser, it's never coming back. And that's sort of what we discovered on the Heist, is that it leans into that Anheuser angle in a really powerful way. But if you don't hit the Anheuser, it just holds straight, which is really, really great out of a distance driver. So I would say if you're throwing in the 300 to 350 range, this is probably a fantastic option for you to pick up and consider, especially if your forehand finds itself in that similar range. This could be money for you. I can see a world where you're not trying to like flex this like I was trying to do and just learning to hit it hard and flat. I could see a world that this pushes you to a 350, 375 foot forehand very comfortably. So thanks to Dynamic and Eric for sending over the Heist. Excited to showcase, we have some other molds that they're dropping later this year that I'm even more excited about. Guys, DD's back. They're just doing really cool things. So let's make sure we show them some love in the comments. And as for measuring your distances, I like that we have the extreme example here, guys, of the I think I throw this far and I found OB. We've said it before and we'll say it again. What's cooler? Stepping up and being the guy who throws a putter when everyone else is throwing mids, trying to act all cool, and taking the same score as them or worse? Or is it better to just disc up because you know that you maybe don't throw as far as you're giving yourself mental credit for, and therefore discing up is going to make more birdies? You know, because then you get to the end of the round and you won the card by 5 or 6 strokes versus, oh, well, you know, we took like a similar score, but I threw a putter compared to all the rest of you schlobs. Is that the right word? Is that like a mean thing? Schlub. And I hope that the idea of like finding holes that you can throw over and over again that you know the distances are right can also help you in this challenge. So that for those of you who don't love going out to a field and you just want to play round after round after round, you don't have to stop playing rounds. You can just even do this exercise on, let's say, every time you get to a hole that's like a nice rounder number of a 250 or a 200 or even 300 and 350 foot holes. What are you throwing to consistently get you to those options? That way, when you find yourself in other scenarios outside of that, you're picking the right disc inside of the right conditions. So as always, I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Please make it fantastic for someone else too. But for now, we're going to leave you with the birdie.